Eric, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Welcome to the party, because right before we went live, it said that my mic didn't work. And so anyway, everybody, welcome to the party. And we are so glad you're here. We're the Spaces Back to School Bash. Yes. My name is Mel. Actually, it's Melody, but you can call me Mel. My friends call me Mel. And if you are a friend of Spaces, you are a friend of mine. And I actually am the community and events person here with Spaces. I'm an educator like most of you as well. You're going to find me at our conferences or in our Facebook or Twitter community. So that's something that I like to do with Spaces. And I'm here with my colleague and awesome friend, Eric. Eric, tell us a little bit about what you do with Spaces.
Hey, Mel. Since we're friends, I can call you that. So yes, it's me. I'm Eric. I'm technically the growth marketing manager at Spaces. That sounds so pish posh. Really, I do nothing. I just coast off of Melody's hard work and all the amazing things she does. Really, I just get paid to talk to teachers. That's really what I do.
That is not true at all. You do a lot of wonderful things. And yeah, we won't even go there. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Harvey. It's so good to see you. Oh my goodness. Yes, we are going to talk about the new features today. So glad that you're here. We have got a lot of things on the agenda today. We're going to have some keynote speakers like Dean Gainey, Dr. Desiree. I was going to say Dr. Desiree Educator, but it's Dr. Desiree Alexander. Natalie Vardabasso is here. Rachelle and Mel, which I'm the Mel of that. We are going to have some fun. We're going to be giving away prizes too.
Prizes?
Yes, Eric.
Tell us about the prizes. Oh, you want me to tell you about the prizes? Oh, I know there's lots of gift cards at different intervals. You got to be here to win. So, no sneaking off to grab a burrito, which I did before the bash. Of course, I didn't show up looking for food here at this party. There's no buffet, sorry, but there are prizes, Amazon gift cards. We're giving away multiple $50 Amazon gift cards between each speaking session. We are giving away a grand prize at the very end, which is 2 $100 Amazon gift cards. And as Melody and I determined before, there is no shortage of awesome things you can buy on Amazon with $100, from an air fryer to a weighted blanket to stuff for your classroom. But hey, if you're here and you win that gift card, I want you to spend it on yourself, right?
Yes. You deserve it. If you're watching and you're an educator, we know that you've been working so hard. We appreciate you. And if you've never heard of Spaces before, thank you, especially for showing up to somewhere you've never heard of before. But actually, our platform is amazing. We know that grades don't tell the whole story when it comes to students' growth. So our platform, Spaces, can definitely help you do that. And we are free for educators. If you see the ticker on the bottom, you can sign up for your free educator account at spacesedu.com. And so everybody is going to leave here winning today, because that is free for teachers. And our first keynote is hopefully going to be Dean Gainey. We're waiting for him to come. But Eric said something about, since this is a virtual event, that we can't offer you any food. But I just want you to know, because this is a virtual event, you could be watching this in your underwear, and that's totally fine and acceptable. You could be eating your Doritos. Okay.
Oh, that's the best flavor, I think.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish there was a way to do a poll right now of the millions of people watching, ask them what their favorite Dorito flavor is.
The millions of people watching all over the place. Yes. Well, Rachelle is watching. Dr. Harvey is watching. Please tell us who you are, where you're coming in from. I'm actually coming in live from Alaska, which Eric schooled me on today. It is the most western and eastern part of the United States. And if you don't believe me, he showed me proof that it's real. Tell us where you're coming in from. Eric, where are you coming in from?
I am coming in from beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It is 24 degrees Celsius. What is that in Fahrenheit? 78 degrees.
Okay.
And yes, you are right. Sorry. The most eastern state is Maine, but the most eastern point in the United States is like a little section of Alaska.
I see.
That's a technicality, but so yes, the most east and the most western state at the same time. Amazing.
And if you like this useless type of trivia, then you should stay for Rachelle and Mel, because we're going to have Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grade? We're going to play that, and we want you to play along with us as well. And Eric, you just dropped a link for, if you are one of those winners that gets the $100 Amazon gift cards. Eric actually found this for things that you can buy for $100 on BuzzFeed. So check that out.
That's right. Like we said, there's a lot of teachers out there that are maybe looking at spending their dollars for their classroom for, different materials. And obviously we love and respect that. But if you can find the, if you manage to win a prize, then yes, please do feel more than welcome to help yourself to something nice.
Yes, or you can spit on your classroom, but we really know we want you to feel like a winner. Okay, so Facebook user is coming in from British Columbia, Canada. I don't even want to say that.
British Columbia.
Awesome. And Rachelle is coming back. She's coming from Pittsburgh. I knew it was Pittsburgh, and she loves Cool Ranch. Yes, we're in the same. Yes, please tell us where you're coming in.
Yeah.
Every time you comment, Eric is putting you on a wheel, and so you will be on the wheel. Like, we might pick your name for one of these gift names.
Cards. That's right.
Yes. So we are actually waiting for Dene, but yeah. So if you want to know a little bit, coming in, Dr. H is coming in from New Zealand. Love it. Oh, Yvette is coming in from New York City. This is wonderful. Tiffany from Virginia. Yes, this is great. I love it. Thank you all so much for joining. And if you just tuned in, Spaces is a free platform for teachers. You go to spacesedu.com, and we all know that grades don't tell the full story of a student's growth. It tells a very minute little detail, but Spaces can help you show that growth. And I hope that you are inspired today when we have our guests come on and speak. We hope that you take something back to the classroom, and let us know if you've started school or if you're still in summer break. We just want to thank all the educators that are watching. We know you do such important work, and it's not easy. We are here for you today. We hope to give as many of you as prizes as we can. And our keynote is here.
Whoa, why don't we bring him in?
All right. I am going to introduce our wonderful friend of Spaces, Dene Gainey. Dene is an educator. He's an author. He actually wrote these two books. The first one is The Why in You, and we met through EduMatch. We also are in a book called The Fire Within, and Diversity. I think this might be the latest one. I could be wrong. Diversity, it's not just about you, it's us. He's an amazing educator. He has actually taught quite a few different grade levels. He uses Spaces and he builds community in his classroom. And he also is able to get to that higher order thinking with his students. And so, Dene, we're so glad you're here with us today. Will you say something so I can see if I can hear you? Oh, you're mute.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
It has been an interesting day. As you can probably hear, the rain is pouring down outside, but I'm so glad to be among such great people today and to share with you just a little bit about, I guess, considering everything that we have faced in our society. So if that's okay, I'll go ahead and try to get started.
Yes, we're going to drop off, Dene, and let you have the floor. We're so glad Absolutely. You're here.
Thank you so much. And hello to everybody who is here on the live broadcast today. And if you happen to watch this broadcast on playback, definitely hello to you all as well. And I hope that something that you hear today might be helpful, meaningful, encouraging, inspiring. I think the goal of everything that I seek out to do in my own life, my own personal life, is to be something of a light or hope to anybody and everybody that I can. And so I've just been thinking about how so much has happened in the past 2-3 years. And I mean, we're still facing it. We're still dealing with all kinds of challenges. And perhaps in some ways it's gotten better. Maybe in some cases we're still dealing with some of the same things. And I think it's important to sort of identify where we are. To identify what we've dealt with, to identify what we might be presently continuing to face, and not avoid those kinds of conversations. I mean, actually being honest about where we are and thinking about how we can take those experiences and utilize those experiences to help us going forward. And so sort of my focus today is kind of on 3 different words, and they all start with the letter R. And so the first word is reflect. And so I think, reflection is so powerful, right? To reflect means to think deeply about something or to think carefully about it. And I feel it apropos, right? I love quotes. I love being able to challenge people to think about the words of somebody else other than mine, right? And so Thomas Paine has some really inspiring words about reflection. And he says, the real man smiles in trouble, gathers strength from distress, and grows brave by reflection. So I know that, these times, in the uncertainty of them, reflection is so powerful, and we are able to face things through courage and through bravery when we can reflect, when we can understand the power there is in reflection. So many things, so many challenges, so many obstacles. I know in my own personal life, and I know many of you probably have faced those, whether they are personal, professional, family. And so I think it's important to realize that maybe we couldn't have avoided those, but maybe there's something in those experiences that we've had that has and provides meaning for us. And I think it's important to highlight that. So, I mean, I would probably say myself, there's a lot of worry. There was a lot of maybe a little bit of fear, maybe a little anxiety regarding this whole experience, right? And I think it's important to call it what it is. I've often used that phrase, call a spade a spade. And I think it's important to identify it, because once we identify it, then we can deal with it and utilize it, right? We can utilize it to make us make us better, right? Use that as an opportunity to make us better. Let's see. So sort of shifting slightly, but still in the idea of reflection, thinking about cardinal conversations. I'm really big on symbolism. I'm really big on the idea of using nature as an opportunity for us to learn something new, nature as an opportunity for us to learn things about ourselves. And something came up recently called a cardinal conversation. And it made me think about a cardinal. And so I looked up a few things about cardinals, or the word cardinal, I should say. Cardinals themselves, the birds, tend to show up in times of great difficulty or challenge. You tend to see them more or recognize them more. Maybe they've always been there. Maybe not, right? But maybe you just decided to look around a little bit more. You notice the cardinal show up, the red cardinal. Either way, it's interesting that they show up when times are hard, when times are difficult, to serve as a beacon of hope, or a reminder that it's going to be okay, things are going to be all right. And so don't lose faith, don't lose hope. Also notice that the cardinal number in math, right? A cardinal number has everything to do with frequency, or how often something happens. And the more you see those cardinals, the more they are a reminder of you're not at the end, you're at the beginning, right? Things are still happening, things can improve, things can be better. And so that hope during times of difficulty, during uncertainty, I think is very important. And here we are at the beginning of a new year, the beginning of a new school year, and I'm full of hope. I'm full of hope. I'm full of inspiration, full of desire, right? To try something new, to be able to step into this new year, taking everything that we have experienced, reflecting on that, and using that reflection to sort of move us forward. And so the question comes to mind, what is our role in changing times? What role do we have as educators, as administrators, as superintendents, as librarians, as whatever our role is that we play in education, as ed tech individuals as well? What role do we play in shifting or advancing or changing times? I think it's important to understand that. How do I, as an educator, remain the same when times are changing? How do I, as an educator, remain the same when everything around me is changing or shifting or advancing? And I know there's a lot of things in our lives that we can't change. There's a lot of things I would love to just absolutely change the world. I've always had a desire to do that. But one thing I've realized is that there are some things in life that I will not be able to change on my own, not in my human ability. But there is something that I can change. And so as we enter and embrace this new year, I'm challenging everybody to think about something within themselves that they can change, right? I know me, right? I know me. And I know that I can't change that thing that might be happening next door or happening right next to me, but I can change something about me. I can change my mind. I can change my perception or my perspective, and I can look at that situation or look at that issue differently than I would have prior to, right? So I can change something about me to help me to be able to walk with newness and embrace the whole idea of starting off this year with inspiration and excitement and enthusiasm, and teaching our kids to embrace a love of learning and a passion and a zeal for learning, because I think that's so important. John Dewey says, we do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on that experience. That's so powerful, right? It's so powerful to think about, well, it's not really the experience, even though the experience was phenomenal, right? We do not negate the experience. We do not overlook the experience. But there's something about taking that experience and thinking about it. What did I gain from that? What was in that? What was this all about? And taking that opportunity to think about it is where the learning comes in. It's where we begin to say, okay, all right, that challenged me in that way, but I realized I had this strength. I realized that I was stronger than I thought I was. I realized that, oh, I could do this a different way and accomplish my purpose. So how do I continue to be effective? Thinking about reflection, right? Even though this happened, even though that happened, how can I continue to reach my students? I have a thought that that I shared through my very first book, Journey to the Y and U, that it's not just about the teach, it's about the reach. It's so good, right? I'll repeat that again. It's not just about the teach, it's about the reach. I just believe that I can walk into my classroom and teach content all day. I can walk into my classroom wholly focused on what it is that I have to teach. I could totally focus on that. I could totally say, man, we got a lot of content to learn. Let me push this content. Let me focus my 100% attention on this content. Let me get through this content. And there's something wrong with that content. I think it's so important to identify that we have those things that we need to be responsible for. However, I can totally be teaching content and not reaching, right? Teaching, but yet it's falling on deaf ears. I could be teaching and not reaching. And so I've made up in my mind in the 18 years that I've been in the classroom that I want to reach my students. And maybe that means I have to go about what I'm doing a different way. Maybe sometimes that means that the content takes a back burner. Or at least the desired content or the planned content. You know, I have another phrase that lesson plans don't always go as planned. And I think it's important too, as a teacher, to be sensitive to the environment that we're in, sensitive to our students, and knowing and that maybe we need to deviate from those plans sometimes in order to accomplish even more than we would have by sticking to just the lesson plan. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been in the classroom and I realized, okay, this is not what we need today. This is not what we need today. We need to have a powwow. We need to talk about life. We need to engage these students. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about something that we can then turn around and connect that back to what we've already had intended to do. And now learning takes on new meaning. Learning takes on a life of its own now, because now I've able to pull them in, but actually connect that to something that we need to focus on. And now I'm accomplishing so much more than I would have ever intended. So reflecting, right? Reflecting on the year, reflecting on what we do, reflecting on our effectiveness as educators and how we continue to reach, not just teach our students, how we use this as an opportunity, because everybody has been affected or impacted by what we've experienced in some way. And why not utilize that as a tool or as fuel for learning this year? All right, let me move on. I know I'm probably talking very fast because you know how that goes. You get on a topic that you really believe in, you get passion, and you just start talking, and you can go on forever and ever. Our next R is the reset button. And boy, don't we need a reset, right? We need to hit that reset button. And so I'm going to use this as a sort of a story, right? But clearly, I think you're going to understand it really, really fast. I have these Sony Walkman headphones that I got one time I went to Japan. One of the many times I've been over there. I love that country, by the way. But there was a time where, you could load music into this Sony Walkman, right? You can add it through a USB connection. And there got to a point where the Sony Walkman headphones became full. And so I couldn't add any more music. In fact, I kind of wanted to change the music I had stored in there. And I had to look around. I had to figure out how to add more music. And so I looked around at the hole on the side of the device, and there was a little tiny hole, and next to that tiny hole, it said the word reset. And so thinking about that word reset, when I hit that little button, right, the goal of that reset button was to take everything off of that device, return it to factory reset, return it to its prime or primary condition. That means it was no longer utilized by all of the songs I had loaded on there previously. And so I'm thinking about that reset button. And so thinking about us as well, right? I think sometimes it's okay to hit that reset button. And I don't think it's just okay. I think sometimes it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary to think about how important it is to reset. Maybe it's starting over. Maybe it's changing your phone number. Maybe it's getting a new job. Maybe it's remembering why you started the job that you have in the first place. Maybe it's doing a colon cleanse. Maybe it's going to the sauna or sweating out those toxins and meeting people you haven't met or meeting people you have met again. I think that reset is choosing the very thing that enables you to start over on a path that is new and improved, right? Which leads me to my next R, which is revamp. Revamp. So we started out with reflection, thinking about those things that we've experienced, not ignoring them, not trying to hide them, not suppressing them. Look at Mel's advice, do it on the weekend for the colon cleanse. All right, so reflecting, highly important, highly effective. Being able to hit that reset button, knowing that it's okay to reset, right? Knowing it's okay to start again, new, changing that mindset, having a fresh, clean start. But then let's go to revamp, giving new and improved form or structure to or appearance to, right? When you revamp something, you give it new or improved form. So not only do we reset it, but we identify how we can make it look different. Once we reset it, we're approaching it differently, and it's more mentally maybe for us when we pay attention to the structure or its appearance. What's different, right? What do we notice, right? What do we notice? Martin Luther King says, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today." I could stop right there, but he has a little bit more to say, but I could stop right there. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. There's no time for apathy or complacency, he says. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. Call to action, right? Even though we've been through what we've been through, we've dealt with what we've dealt with, we've experienced what we've experienced, but this is also a call to arms, a call to action, a call to return to our responsibility of the here and now and helping our students to be the best versions of themselves. And so using these obstacles that we faced to establish and be the best version of ourselves. It is inside of a fire that things are perfected. It is inside of a fire that things are perfected, and the imperfections are burned away. The fire is the refinement. We become more fine-tuned when we go through the fire. We become more able to do our jobs when we are refined. Boy, that's a thought right there. It makes you look at obstacles a little bit differently. Like, I know it's hard, and I think we have to identify that, right? But then we think about, well, what's in this obstacle for me? What can I take away from this to help me be better? So I think about all these things, and I know a lot of this fuels the things that I have written. I know Melody talked about those items as she introduced me today. A lot of that has been born out of adversity and obstacle, right? So it makes me look at those obstacles differently. I'm not saying I'm going to go and pay for an obstacle and purchase an obstacle at the store, because I know they're probably everywhere in those shelves if we had to buy them. But I'm not saying I'm doing that, but I know that when they come, when they happen, sometimes it's, we think about avoiding them maybe because we don't want to do, sometimes it's hard. But if we kind of think about how we might embrace them and use them, it sort of gives it a different spin. There's still so much work to be done. So for me to be the best version of myself, I must take time to reflect. I must take time to reset as necessary. And I must take time to revamp so that I can attack the work with passion and dedication. There is only one you. You are the only one that can do what you do the way that you do it. Your message might not be for everyone, but it is for someone. I'm going to repeat that. Your message might not be for everyone, but it is for someone. Stories are born out of experiences. So as we reflect, reset, and revamp today, let us not forget that there is a story. There is a story that must be told. You are the only you that will ever be. Your experiences, your story, and your diversity. As I wrap up today, and I know that I wanted to be brief because we have so many other things going on in this back to school bash. Thanks to Spaces for everything that they're doing today and everything that they do to make learning a thing and to instill that enjoyment and passion for learning. But if I can, I would like to leave you with a poem that I wrote called Whatever May Come. Whatever may come. So think about these, and this is the last thing I will do. So Melody, be ready to come back. So we have come to a point in our lives where certain is not certain anymore. Whatever may come, however, I hope that we can do more. More to help others when there is a need, more to demonstrate. Whatever may come, I hope that we can show love and get rid of hate. Whatever may come, may we continue to learn. Listen more than we speak to others, and knowledge let us not spurn. Whatever may come, may we continue to grow like flowers do in the springtime, and with their seeds continue to sow. Whatever may come, may we continue to know that together we are so much stronger than we are on our own, able to overcome the most challenging of times. Yet, yes, in those difficult days, we are not alone. Whatever may come, may we realize that there is a greater good. We give, we love, we laugh, we serve, to do all that we should. Whatever may come, let us not forget the power that lies within you. The power to be the best you that only you can, and help others to realize that too. So that's my last thought I'd like to leave with you today. If I should say nothing else, be the best version of you, because only you can do that. Thank you, Melody. Returning that mic to you.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inspiring us. But I think it's pretty amazing that you talked about challenges and adversity, and you just being here right now. You're a busy teacher. You're dedicated to your craft, just trying to get home to do this for us today and inspire so many. You had to go through so many challenges. And while it would have been amazing for you to be, probably not on the side of the road or in a parking lot right now, we're so glad you're here. That message was absolutely beautiful. I love it. 3 R's, reflection, reset, revamp. Think about everything that brought you to this moment. I think this is Dr. Harvey. And he says, I need a Dean Gainey moment this week thank you, Dean. I think this was supposed to be, thank you, Dean, for being you. You are such a gift. Yes. And if that's not Dr. Harvey, let me know who you are. Agreed. It was just such a perfect way to start. And on a personal note, Dean, I just want to ask you, as you start this new year, what are you really looking forward to? Oh, it is Mary Alice. Mary Alice, you were my second person. Sorry that I thought maybe that's Mary Alice.
Thank you for that comment, Mary Alice. And so I think if I were to answer that question, Melody, I know this year is not going to be like anything else that we've seen. We've gone through a lot. And so my mind says, should I walk into this year expecting it to be the same as any other year? Absolutely not. And perhaps more than any other year, it's not going to be the same. I had a conversation recently, and I was talking about, do the expectation for us to, maybe go back to things as usual. I just can't. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be the same again. And so my mind says, expect the unexpected. Expect to tap into those creative juices like you've never tapped into it before. Expect to take those opportunities to teach those life skills and have those moments in the classroom that content doesn't always let you do. But at the same time, you're going to accomplish so much more through those moments than you would by teaching that content. You know, this day and age, everybody's dealing with so many things, and you never know that mindful moment that you're talking with your students in the classroom, how much of a difference you're going to make in their lives, where they're going to latch on to something you say, and all of a sudden that content's going to make so much more sense. They're going to go so much further than you would have ever expected them to go, because you took that moment, you made that opportunity in space. Space, you got that? I wasn't even planning that. You made that space for students to be able to have that opportunity. We just don't know what's going to happen, right? But that could be good, right? Because good can come out of those opportunities just as much as anything else.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, Dean. We appreciate it. If you want to stick around and play with Rachelle and Mel, we can. We are just about to have our first prize drawing. So I'm going to bring Eric up. Hopefully he puts your name. If you commented, you get to be you get to be in the drawing for this first prize. And then somebody said, I think we need a code word for Facebook users. I'll be okay, whatever. Dean, you touched us so much with your opening keynote. We appreciate you so much. And we're so glad that you're part of the community. Get home safely and pop back on if you want later. But we will see you again. We appreciate all that you do. Bye, Dean.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. And now I'm bringing up Eric, my team member. Hey,
that was awesome. Thank you, Dean. I know he's probably listening in the background. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to draw our first 2 gift cards. If you're just getting here, be sure to throw your name into the chat here. Aaron, I got you. See, Dr. Desiree, you're commenting. I don't know if the rules allow that Dr. Desiree can win. Yvette, I got you in my wheel here. I did.
Okay,
I did.
You're in. Awesome.
So I'm actually going to go ahead and start spinning the wheel so that we can pick our first winners. All right, so here we go. Our first winner. Oh, Rachelle. Okay. All right, Rachelle.
Dr. Harvey?
Yeah,
it's
Rachelle. Okay, we're gonna remove Rachelle. Actually, gonna enter in here Emily, who just joined us. Emily K. And let's spin again. Oh, Dr. Desiree said she doesn't even want to win. She's like, whatever. Oh. Caitlin Carter, I believe that's our guest from Kelowna, BC. All right, so we have our first 2 winners. Don't worry, if you're still here, you're still eligible to win. And I'm going to drop in the chat here the other option, which is the form that you can fill out for the extra prizes through the type form that you can fill out there for the $100 prize if you're watching as well on the recording. All right.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Eric. I'm going to drop off. Can you introduce our next guest? I'm going to pull him up. All right. Okay.
So, Bryan. Hey, Bryan. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Very inspiring opening talk as well. I hate that I have to follow up Dean. He's such an engaging speaker, but I'll do my best.
Yeah, he's great. Out of the, if I could put you on the spot, out of the 3 R's, you think, reflect, revamp, and what was the other R? Who in the chat can help me? Oh, okay.
Reset!
Did you have a favorite one?
Do I have a favorite one? It's reflection. It's always reflection. 100%.
Fantastic. All right, everyone. If you're watching, Bryan is the director of product for Spaces and has been working so hard for quite some time. I guess this is 2 years plus, Bryan, on trying to make Spaces the best experience for teachers, educators, administrators, students, families that it could possibly lead to make the classroom experience all that much better for students. Bryan, do you want to introduce yourself or anything else there that I didn't get?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the director of product here at Spaces, and we've been really, really hard at work at some very cool features that I'm excited to showcase to you today. So I get to really help take part in crafting kind of this product to really help support you in the classroom as well. So I guess, Eric, I can just dive in. Yeah, exactly. Let's start. So thanks for joining, everyone. Once again, I'm super excited to showcase what the Spaces team has been hard at work on over the course of the summer. We have some really exciting updates, and I'm hoping that these updates will bring easier access to spaces for students and new ways for teachers to engage their classroom. So let's dive in some of these updates. All right. And I guess I haven't called out the specific release date, but this is being released on Monday. So you'll have access to these features by Monday afternoon. So the first one we're going to showcase here today is going to be QR codes. So giving your students even easier access to get into Spaces. Next, we have the ability for teachers to complete activities on behalf of students. We're going to make it even easier for students to enter their classroom by allowing students to immediately appear in classes after your sync or import, depending on what your school or district is making use of. We're going to talk through our first iterations of both proficiency scales and reporting spaces. And we have a whole lot more, but I'm going to really focus this chat so I don't eat up too much time, and we have a little bit of time for questions as well. So the first feature we're going to look at is QR codes. And this is one of our, probably our most, if not our top requested feature for Spaces. And this is going to give students an easy way to log directly into the Spaces platform. Teachers will be able to access this within their Spaces and share this out to students directly. So we're going to walk through what that looks like. Just a note here, that QR codes is only available for Spaces Pro schools. So you need to be licensed to make use of this particular feature. But let's dive into what this looks like on the teacher's end. So within the people section, we're looking at the students tab here, and we have our students list. So within each student row, you're going to see this little QR code icon. Teachers will be able to click on that and pull up this this menu here where they can see the QR code, the student's name, the expiry. Just a note, QR codes last for a year because we need to set an expiry there for security purposes. And below that, it's also noting that, please don't share this out on social media, as obviously this is access to a student's account. Now, below that, teachers will have the ability to reset these QR codes in case maybe a student has lost their QR code printout or anything like that, or they can print it. Now, to make it even easier for your classroom, they can also access all the QR codes. So as a teacher, you can click on this button. It'll open up this dialog where you can select all of your students or a smaller subset of students to either print out all of those QR codes or reset all those QR codes. It just showcases what that printout will eventually look like. So how does this actually work for your students? So once your students are on the Spaces website and they click to log in, this is what they'll see. And they'll see that login with QR code button sitting at the top. They can click on this, and once they've actually scanned in their QR code, it'll allow them to enter their classroom. Now, one thing I wanted to note before we entered the classroom here is that there's a button on the top right. Maybe your students still have some issues with typing in their login or password, and they don't have access to a camera. They can still upload that QR code file as well too. So if they have a snapshot, or if you've generated PDF for them to access, that's just another way to provide them easy access to getting into the classroom. So once we're scanned in, we jump into the class, giving your students even easier access into Spaces. Now, next up was the note around students immediately appearing in their classroom after sync or import. So what exactly does that mean? Currently, after an import or a CSV, or sorry, an SIS LMS sync, students typically receive an account invitation. Now that becomes a little bit frustrating because the students need to actually log in and create an account that way, which is frustrating for teacher-led classrooms. And by teacher-led classrooms, I mean more younger years classrooms as well too. So this update is going to add in all of the students from that import into your class list so that teachers can make use of those, manage those students right away. So teachers will be able to create activities or posts with those students right off the bat without having those students have to log in advance. Now, this option is once again only available to licensed districts or schools on the Spaces Pro plan. And just another note here, this update also means something very important. Students do not need emails to make use of Spaces. So we'll be able to auto create accounts for those students, and they'll be able to use QR codes to sign in. So for younger years educators, we recognize that this is a little bit of a challenge, and we want to make this even easier. Then when those students are ready, they can eventually have emails tied to their accounts. So Spaces really does grow with your students, and that's just one way that it does. Next up, I wanted to showcase the ability for teachers to actually submit student work or activities on behalf of the students. So this feature is going to allow for teachers to submit activity work for students, and teachers will also be able to make edits on drafts for students as well. So let me hit play here, and we're within the activity view right now, and we see that Alex has submitted some content, or rather, sorry, I should go back here. I'm looking at Daniel. Apologies for that. So Daniel has yet to submit his work. We can click on that Start Activity button, and you'll notice that there's a banner in the top left just indicating that you are, in fact, posting as Daniel. We'll add that content, and when we're ready to submit, we'll click on that Submit button. And once again, we'll just give you a little warning here, just noting that you are, in fact, submitting this activity work on as Daniel here, or on behalf of Daniel. And we can see the activity submission here. When you're ready to go, you can also update the status of this activity as well. And we can see here that it's been submitted by the educator. Okay, and this brings us to proficiency scales. So proficiency scales applies in two different cases. We see this apply within posts and activities, but the first one I want to showcase is within posts. So this is going to be our first iteration of proficiency scales, and we're hoping that it really helps educators to assess and report on student progress on outcomes and competencies using a 4-point scale. Just a note here that the proficiency scale content and the number of scales can be customized for your school or district as well. Like I noted before, those proficiencies can be applied to both posts and activities. So we're hoping that this makes this even easier to really support both formative and summative assessment practices. So let's see what this looks like within a post. So this should be somewhat familiar to you. We have that curriculum tag icon on the bottom left of the post. And if we click that open, it'll open up that dialog where I can then start selecting some curriculum tags. Now, as I add those curriculum tags, I can now assign a proficiency. And this one here is just using some custom language. So I'll select proficient, and when I'm ready to go, I can hit that check mark to actually apply it. Now you'll see that the curriculum tag gets added to the post, and it gets color coded. So you have an easy visual reference of the proficiency that you've indicated. And there's also a little bit of an abbreviation on the left side with the custom text in this case. We know that because of color blindness and color issues, the color alone isn't always the best indication here. That's why we also have the little abbreviation at the front of the tag. Another thing to note here is on the right side where we see all of the tags and goals that you're making use of in the classroom, it starts color coding there as well. Now, in this case, it's a little bit different. On the right side, it's actually providing an aggregate of all the proficiencies used in your class and providing you an average. So once you've actually made use of a lot of proficiencies in your class, it'll give you some visual information to see where progress is actually happening in the classroom related to those tags and its proficiencies as well. So really hoping that it can help inform your instruction within the classroom as well. Okay, and this brings us to activities. So how does this actually work within activities? So we're going to look at Alex Tran. They've submitted their activity here, and we can see those tags reflected. So we'll just click on Alex Tran's submission. And similar to posts, you just click on the tag here, which will open up a dialog where you can select all of the proficiencies at once. So you don't need to do that one by one. You can do it all at once. And when you've actually applied them here, so we'll select proficient on the first one, and you can see that provides you with a little bit of color there, and we'll hit that check mark and it'll actually apply that proficiency to the activity submission. Okay, another thing I wanted to showcase with relation to proficiency scales is as a teacher, maybe you don't want these proficiencies to be visible to your students and family members. Maybe you want this to be private to yourself. It's really up to you. And like everything else, Spaces, we want this to be as flexible as possible. So you have the ability to customize this. So within your class settings in the top left, we'll head over to the class settings. If you scroll down, you have some options available to you. With relation to curriculum tags, you can turn that on or off. You can also impact visibility, and the same thing for proficiency scales. Maybe you want to use it, maybe you don't, but you can also impact that visibility for your students and your family members as well too. So you get even more customization within Spaces to fit your needs as well. Okay, and this brings us to the last major update for the summer here, and that's reporting Spaces. So this is actually our first iteration of a summative assessment feature to really help visually share and communicate student growth over the course of the year. You can kind of think of this like a visual report card. Teachers will be able to easily bookmark exemplary work happening within the classroom and add this directly into the reporting spaces. Those reporting spaces can then be shared with family or students at various points during the year to support interim reporting or at the end of the year as well too. So we're back in the feed, and maybe you've noticed this already, but there's a little icon that we've added to each of the posts, and it kind of looks like a little bookmark. So you can click on that, and that's how easy it is to add content to the reporting space. You just scroll through your feed and just add it easily into the reporting spaces if you feel that it fits your reporting needs. Now let's head over to Spaces, where we now have a new banner just indicating that the reporting space exists within Spaces. You have some handy resources on your right side here, and you have access to some visibility settings. And we'll look at that in a moment, see what I mean specifically. So we'll click to view the reporting space, and similar to other spaces that you have on the platform, you have all of the content that's been added here. You have your students on the left side and their curriculum tags and proficiencies provided on the right side. So we can easily flip between students, and you'll see their name and their grade represented here. And on the top right, you have those visibility settings. So you can decide at what point you'd like your students to be able to see this content, same with your family members. And you can also control whether students can actually comment within this space as well. Maybe you want this to be a little bit more private. You have access to that, or you want to control when they can access it through the year, so you can help support reflection here as well too. And just showcasing what that looks like if the student has no content here. I'm really excited about this feature in particular because this is kind of opening up a lot of features that we have in the queue with relation to printing updates, ability to identify proficiency at the end of the year for the student as well too. And we have a whole number of other exciting updates to share as well. So before I move forward, I wanted to thank everybody here as well too. And if you're interested in learning more about Spaces or Spaces Pro features for your school or district, please don't hesitate to contact us. I know that Eric and Melody will share how you can contact us as well. And if you're interested in learning more about our summer release here, I think Melody has been sharing some links in the chat. Sorry, it's hard to know where to look when you're presenting.
I was sharing out as many links as I could. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. The last thing I wanted to note here is that we also have a publicly accessible roadmap where we share updates and new features that are coming down the pipeline. So you can learn more about what we're working on in the future and really help shape the future of Spaces. And you might be asking, how do you do that? You can actually vote on some of the ideas that we have available or share your own ideas as well for improvements. I really look forward to seeing what you all come up with. And thanks again. It's been my pleasure presenting here today, and I hope everyone has a great weekend and an even better start to the school year as well too.
Yeah, well, Bryan, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. If you don't, we do have a couple of questions. If you don't mind,
absolutely.
I'm afraid if I click on a button, I'm going to take us off.
There, I'll flip to my comments and questions slide.
But I wanted to say congratulations to your team as well. You guys work so hard to bring all these updates, and you listen to the feedback of educators every day. You take it very seriously. If you go to our Spaces website, spacesedu.com, there will be pop-ups to say, hey, what do you want? I love how you are so transparent with the roadmap. Our company is doing a great job with that. Yvette wanted to know, how does this work with Google Classroom? And I know that's like, do you want to answer that?
Sorry, what does
Yvette asked? I'm sorry, and I just kind of talked really quickly. Because and stick around, guys. We're just about to have another prize drawing, but she wanted to know, can you use this with Google Classroom?
Yeah. This works with Google Class. Sorry, I'm curious about what in particular. Which is there a particular feature that you're asking about, or?
I think she just wants to know, like, can it integrate with Google Classroom?
So I mean, students can easily get added in from Google Classroom, and that's kind of the integration that we have in place. We do have some more detailed integrations with Google Classroom that we are working on in the future. So we do have some exciting updates to share in the coming months for what that could look like as well too. And I see a note in the comments.
Oh, sorry.
Finally looking at the comments here.
All right, direct links with
Google Classroom. Direct links with Google Classroom.
I think that you can share direct links. Like, you can take links and you can share them. I know that
if I assign in your Spaces, will it automatically go into Google Classroom? So it does not. So the activities do not push into Google Classroom, or vice versa. If you're building an activity in Google Classroom, that won't push into Spaces. But once again, like I noted, I don't want to give out too much information. This is something that we are looking at integrating with in the future so that we can better speak with. Currently, it does not. Yeah, currently it does not. But it is something that we are looking at for the future. Sorry,
and Yvette,
I was a little hazy on what you meant there initially. But you can bring in your students. That's correct. Yep.
Yes, you can bring in your students. And Yvette, I saw that you were interested in how to use it for math. And I wanted you to know, anybody who's watching, if you want to know how we can personalize Spaces to you in your classroom, please email me, melody@spacesedu.com, and I can actually make an appointment with you. We can sit down and we can go over everything about your classroom and what your needs and your student needs are, and we can design it together. So thank you so much, Bryan. We really appreciate you. And again, just your team has worked so hard. These updates will actually be live on Monday, August 29th.
That's correct. It'll be available by the afternoon. We'll be launching in the morning.
Oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. Well, thank you. And please thank your team for us as well. You guys are amazing. And thank you, I just want to say, for taking educator feedback so seriously. I love that we have these conversations. You stay up to date with everything that is going on. And I truly, truly respect you. So thank you. And also thanks for giving up a little bit of your Friday night to be here with us.
No problem. I'm happy to be here. And I'm excited for everyone to make use of these features in the new school year as well. And look forward to that feedback. That's really the lifeblood of Spaces as well.
Yes, yes. All right, my friend. Well, I'll see you later. Have a great night. I'm going to bring Eric back up. Thanks, Bryan.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
All right, Eric, are we ready for another prize drawing time?
I'm ready. I'm excited. If you're in the chat and maybe your name hasn't been added to the wheel yet, comment, share what you had for lunch today, maybe what you're doing on the weekend. Well, this might be your weekend and you're here with us. Share your favorite Dorito flavor, whatever it might be. You have 10 seconds before we roll again.
Were you eating or drinking? I was eating some Cool Ranch.
I had some Nestea, the drink of champions. Love Nestea. Not sponsored by Nestea, at least not officially. But it is the engine oil for a lot of what we do. Okay, let's roll.
And the winner is
Elizabeth M.
Elizabeth M. Congratulations, Elizabeth M.
Congrats, Elizabeth. I'll be reaching out to Elizabeth through Facebook to make sure that you get that prize. And remember, there is a alternate prize. There's a prize that you can participate if you're not here, if you're watching the recording, or maybe you dropped in and you had to leave. There is a prize through the Typeform link that we'll be sharing up here shortly. So let's roll again for our next winner.
I hope Yvette gets it. She had foot surgery. She said she needs a little something in her life.
Oh, what are the chances?
What? Congratulations, Yvette.
Well, I could tell you the chances. It was about 1 in 7 or so. But here we are. Yvette will be reaching out with a prize.
Yes. Congratulations to Elizabeth and Yvette. We are so happy that you won our $50 Amazon gift cards. We have another drawing coming up soon. And then at the very end, before we say goodbye, we actually have 2 $100 Amazon gift cards drawings. So stay tuned. Yes, you did. Yes. Yes, it was you. We're so glad. Yes, we're glad you made our day. We are so thankful that you're here. We're thankful for everybody has tuned in. We're thankful that Bryan was able to share about these awesome updates that are coming, and that Dean gave us such a great opening. How do we sign up for the drawing? Jess, you just did by commenting. So if you want to be part of these drawings, we have a few more coming up. As soon as you comment, you are part of that drawing. So Jess, you will be a part of the next one. So thank you so much. What do we have next on our plate? Eric?
Oh, well, I guess we have the awesome dynamic duo of Mel and Rachelle. Or is it Rachelle and Mel? Is it Crosby, Stills, Nash? Crosby, Stills, Young? I don't know.
I'm trying to find Rachelle's name. Yes, I don't know. Eric, we're gonna share it, and I'm gonna bring you back up for our game. But first, Rachelle, welcome to our Spaces Back to School Bash. You and me, we go back. Like I don't know. You know, I do this gig. Spaces is my gig, okay? But I have another gig with this amazing, wonderful educator and leader and author. And Rachelle, we're so glad to have you here. So how's school going? How's back to school going?
It's good. It's really good. We started Monday with a couple of, PD days and getting classroom ready. And the students came yesterday, and it's kind of a split this year. I know a lot of my students, because I'm the only Spanish teacher. Hey, there's Mom. I'm the only Spanish teacher, so I know a good amount of them, but I probably have more this year that I don't know. So yesterday, this is actually kind of funny. So yesterday I was doing, icebreakers. I got away from I'm teaching Spanish on day one, did some icebreakers, getting to know them. I did a this or that, would you rather kind of game with them. But some of my Spanish 2 students came in and they said, we have a question for you. I was like, okay. And it's usually can we have a party or, we have homework or something like that. And I said, what is it? And they said, can we use that thing that your Spanish 2s were doing last year where they were running around the school and going outside and making the videos and all these things? I was like, you mean Spaces? They're like, yeah, we heard all about it and it's awesome. And can we do that? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to let them loose on the school because there's like twice as many of them as there were the other group. And it just might be a little bit of chaos. But my Spanish 3 students who started it last year were really excited. They're like, can we start right now today? And I'm like, okay, we can, so, but it was awesome to hear that because, the kids are talking about, they see them using it, but they're also talking about it. So anyway, the first 2 days were just about doing some activities, getting to know each other, letting them get to know the quirky me, which you know very well. And,
you're totally rad, girl.
I'm totally rad. I mean, the only sign I have over here, oh wait, I got a couple. I forgot.
Oh
here we go.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I had. Thank you.
I can't do that.
So if you are watching and you've never watched Rachelle and Mel, we took a little break this summer, but we're about to go back. I love it, Rachelle. We're about to go back for Rachelle and Mel starting this next Friday, so a week from today. And we like to have educators on our show. Rachelle, how can they see Mel and Rachelle, or Rachelle and Mel?
That is a great question. They can see us kind of all over the place because we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube. You're on your YouTube, if I could say it than mine, and then on Twitter, a couple places, and then on LinkedIn it streams out. So I actually had somebody at ISTE come up and say, "Hey, you're one of it's you and Mel. Like we see you on LinkedIn." I was like, "Yes." So I'm looking forward to diving back into our Thrive in EDU and the fun that we have with everybody. And thanks to everybody who's been joining in it's been 2 years now. So
yes. And we're actually starting on our 3rd season. And there's a few people that we can't wait to have on that are here as well. And I want us to give a shout out to Mary Ann. Sometimes we may not know who's watching, but Mary Ann is a faithful watcher. This is Rachelle's mom, and I love her. Okay. I knew that she'd be watching today is all I'm going to say. I would have put money on it. So Mary Ann, thank you. And Aaron, yes. So glad you're here as well. We're going to play a game today. We don't normally play this game. We don't normally play this game. Okay. But it's back to school. We're going to try to keep it PG, maybe G. I don't know. But I'm going to bring up some people, and I'm going to bring up Eric. I'm going to bring up the incredible Natalie Vardabasso. She's going to speak in just a little bit. I'm going to bring up the incredible Dean Gainey, and we're going to have a little game time. Are you guys ready?
So ready.
Okay. Is Bryan still here? Bryan, do you want to be a part of our game time? If you do, just turn your camera on and I'll join you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you some really tough questions to see if you're smarter than a 5th grader. Okay. Oh, thank you, Marianne. She just saved my day. Okay. And you can just answer them. I might, just to get stuff going, let's see. Are you smarter than 5th grade? We're not going to play exactly like the television show because we don't have that much time, but I will let you pick what grade level you want and maybe the subject level. I might just force that question on you like a good teacher would. Okay. But if you get it wrong, you know what that means, right?
Does it mean I'm not smarter than a 5th grader?
That's exactly
right. Yeah.
If I got that wrong, would that mean I'm not smart? Okay, never mind.
That would be correct. Okay, yes. But you are, I'm pretty sure, at least right now. All right. Who would like, you know what? This is even better. Who would like to have a 1st grade grammar and spelling question?
I do.
Okay. All right. Here we go, Rachelle.
Okay, 1st grade spelling. Okay.
Okay. I work on a building. Now, this is the next word. Is it site, S-I-G-H-T, site, S-I-T-E, or site, C-I-T-E?
I'm going to go with S-I-T-E as my final answer.
Are you sure? Do you need any help?
I would ask for the origin of that word, but you spelled it, so that's good enough.
Okay. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, she's right, or thumbs down, you're dumb?
You can still go thumbs down, you're dumb. I mean, thumbs down, you're dumb. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, you are correct. Very good, Rachelle. Very good.
1st grade.
Awesome. You are so far smarter than a 1st grader. That's amazing. I'm so glad. Okay. How about some 4th grade, Dean Gainey? 4th grade spelling grammar. Are you ready?
Sure. I am ready.
All right. I don't know about, this is a hard one. So if you need help, you've got other people around you. You don't need to be a hero. Okay. In this sentence, Sally is a very good drummer. What part of speech is the word very?
Very. Oh my gosh, this is actually throwing me for a loop a little bit.
You've got 3 other people that can help you if you need a lifeline.
Phone
a friend.
Phone a friend. That's it.
Oh,
Ask the audience.
Tag. Ask the audience, what do you think? Yes, please. If you're watching and you know what very is in this sentence, then please share it. Otherwise, Dean might get this wrong. And that's a sad, sad thing. All right.
Oh, don't be mean.
It's okay. Dean's used to it. In this sentence, Sally is a very good drummer. What part of speech is the word very?
Oops.
All right. Yvette
I want to say it's an adverb as well. I'm trying to think though. It's modifying is very okay. Let's go with adverb.
All right. What do you guys think? Eric, Rachelle, and Natalie, what do y'all think? Do you think it's an adverb?
It is. It's modifying an adjective.
It is an adverb. Very good, guys.
4th grade, Dean. Woohoo!
Thank you, Yvette. Very good. Rochelle, you could have helped them, and you just never mind. I'm just joking. Okay, ready?
Well,
okay, Natalie, I'm going to pick on you next.
I feel like you're really setting me up for failure before I speak because you're like, she's not smarter than a 5th grader.
I know.
Tell them about standard space grading.
I am terrible at these games. I am mean.
Oh, Lord.
Right for the jugular.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
But because I'm putting you on the spot, we're going to do 2nd grade geography. I think you can handle this.
Oh, jeez.
Yes?
You will see.
All right. In what country is the Taj Mahal located?
Country.
Taj Mahal. And if you guys know this 2nd grade geography answer, please help Natalie in the comments. And Natalie, you've also got these teammates around you.
I want to say India, and I'm so worried I'm going to get it wrong. And look, we see nodding. I see nodding. This is good. This is affirming. India.
What do you guys think? Is it India? Yay!
Hey.
Very good, Natalie.
Thanks,
you
team.
are smarter than a 2nd grader. Yes.
Usually you didn't get as much pressure as I did, Natalie.
Yeah,
That's a lot of pressure.
Well, Dean, I know Dean teaches 4th. Well, he did teach 4th grade until last year, but yeah, I thought no. Okay, it's okay. You know, even if you don't know what an adverb is, Dean, you show us that you can still be very successful in life.
It's the pressure. It's the pressure. You could ask me my mom's name right now. I don't know if I'd be able to remember.
It's a name of the game. It's very challenging.
Eric, you are 3rd grade science. Are you ready?
Okay. Science. Yeah.
Okay. Eric, which planet is closest to the sun?
Mercury.
Are you sure about that?
That's my final answer, Regis.
Are you sure? Do you want to do that mnemonic device first before you answer
It's
that?
the small one. It's Mercury.
What do you guys think? Is he right?
Yes, he's right.
All right. Okay. It is Mercury. Good job. Yes. Even Yvette says yes. Okay. Great. Awesome. All right. This time.
So who's going to ask Mel questions?
Nobody, because I have all the answers right here.
Oh, I see. That's
Do you have, Eric, you want to ask me a question? Go ahead.
Sure. What's the largest state by landmass in the United States?
Well, first of all, what?
What's the largest state by landmass?
Oh, the largest state by
Yes.
landmass.
Yes.
I would have to say that would be Alaska.
That's correct.
Yes,
That's
that would be Alaska.
I gave you an easy one.
Sorry, Texas. Also, I was waiting for you to tell me which geography level that was. Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I've never been a teacher in the American.
Did you just make that up?
No, I think that's just common knowledge. I would say that's grade. Let's say call it grade 3 geography, maybe.
Texas doesn't know about all that. Okay, Rachelle, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, this is 5th grade. 5th grade. I don't know what subject I'm looking. Okay, but it's reading language arts. Ready? Who is the creator of the classic book characters Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn?
Mark Twain.
Okay, that's very good. Good job.
Is that right? Did I need a dramatic pause, moment to reflect there?
No, that was good. That was good. You're just actually, when we play trivia games, usually you just nail every single one of them. So I'm not really surprised.
This is just
okay,
luck.
Dean. Dean, this one is for you. Are you ready?
Man, it came back to me so fast.
It did. I'm going in a pattern if you can't tell. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be easy and give you a first grade question this time. Is that okay?
Sure, I'm ready for whatever grade.
Yeah, first grade. And I was going to give you language arts, but I feel like I did that already. So I'm going to give you a first grade history question. You think you can handle that, Dean?
Yes, he can. He's got this.
All right, Dean. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first two men in the entire world to do what?
Walk on the moon.
Very good, Dean. Very good. High five to you. Is that? Yes. Okay. All right. Natalie, are you ready?
So ready.
We're going to do 5th grade math.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you a yards question, but you guys don't do American customary or US customary measurements, right?
No.
So that takes
make it hard.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask one that doesn't matter. I think this is even in Canada. This one will be the same answer. A hexagon has how many sides?
6.
What do you guys think? Does a hexagon have 6 sides? Yes. Very good. Very good.
Whew.
Awesome. All right. Eric, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to give you a 4th grade math question.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. If a train leaves the station and travels at 60 miles per hour, how much time will have passed when it arrives at a station 300 miles away?
60 times 5 is 300. So 300 minutes or 5 hours.
Wow! Are you reading the answers?
No, it's just 300 divided by 60.
Oh my gosh, I really thought I was going to stump you with that one. Good job. Impressive.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. All right.
Yvette wants to play.
Okay, Yvette. Yvette, this one is for you. Okay, guys. All right, Yvette. This is for you. She's a math teacher, so I'm going to make sure to go into language arts for her. I'm just joking. I'll do a math for her. Yvette, this question is for you. According to where the hands are at, what is the time? The big hand is on the 12. The little hand is on the 7. Okay, so Yvette, according to where the hands are at, what is the time? The big hand is on the 12. The little hand is on the 7. Has she answered? I can't see the screen.
I think she's nervous.
All right, Yvette, this is your question. I'm gonna drop the question in here. This is the question I'm asking you. But anybody, because when you're put on, she already answered. Gosh, I'm so dumb. Just kidding. I'm smarter than a 5th grader. What?
Nice. 7 o'clock.
Okay, very good. Before I even copied and pasted that. That was awesome. Are you guys having fun or you want to play something else?
We are having fun.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Do you feel a little bit nervous like you're going to get it wrong?
Yeah. Well, some of them can be hard for sure, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to go next? Who's brave enough to go next? I'll let you decide.
I'll go next.
Okay, Eric. All right. Which one of these words? Oh my gosh. And I think this is 1st grade again. This is 1st grade math. Which one of these words is an adjective? Why is this in the math section? Okay, that's weird. Which one of these words is an adjective? Cotton, she, jump, or red?
Okay. So adjective would be describing a noun, I believe. I guess red.
Very good.
I guess you could could you not have like cotton jeans?
Yeah.
Or
gosh.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, right? That's tricky. That's tricky. Okay, but here we go. This one's for
cotton or red.
Yeah, I agree. The answer was red, but I agree that cotton could be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But also cotton could be a noun, but some words are all
right,
everything.
Right. And I think that's okay. I guess by elimination, maybe the answer is supposed to be red, but what grade was that supposed to be for?
1st grade math.
Oh, come on.
I don't get the 1st grade.
I'm writing an email to the teacher. Hey, I'm just kidding. I'm commenting in Spaces and saying, oh, wow. That was a
yeah.
Okay, Rachelle, I'm going to make you answer this one.
Okay.
Okay, what are the two, because you are a language teacher, what are the two main languages spoken in South America? This is first grade history, social studies question.
This is first grade history. Would you say the two main languages spoken?
Spoken in South America.
Spanish and Portuguese.
Nice. Are you reading these questions?
Okay, first of all, like the majority of South America speaks Spanish. Then you got all of Brazil that speaks Portuguese. So like I would think that like with, you know, the bulk of the country speaking Spanish and that one big Brazil that, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have got that right.
And
okay.
if that's first grade, like I'm like in I don't even know, 70th grade at this point. So
all right, who wants your dad knew that, Rachelle. Look, that's how she gets all her trivia. She gets it from her dad. Okay, who wants the very last question?
I'll do it.
All right, Natalie gets it.
Swipe
okay. All right, and then we're gonna have a okay. Woo. These
What's
are all
that?
about the United States, so I don't want to give you that. That's just unfair. Although you probably... Okay, here we go. Ready? This is third grade, I believe, history. The first fireworks were invented in what country during the 7th century?
The United States?
No. No.
I don't know. Is this like a commonly known fact? I
mean, third graders know this.
Well,
third graders know this.
I do know
Who
this.
invented the first fireworks? Does anybody know this besides me?
Oh,
yes,
Dean
go
knows.
ahead.
Oh,
Dean?
I think the answer is China.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct. Very good, Dean.
Nice. Ooh.
Yay.
That really makes up for not knowing what an adverb is. So
It takes time for the mind to get into the, you know, the trivia mode, right?
Right, especially after, you know, sitting in the rain and
and delivering a keynote,
yes.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Kind of shift my thinking here a little bit.
Exactly.
You did such a good job of resetting and revamping. So great job, Dean. Everybody, I give you a high five. Awesome. We're going to do another prize drawing in just a second. I'm going to put everybody backstage except for Rachelle and me for just a second. Look at that, Dean. Hello. So Rachelle, thank you again for joining us so much. Thank you for being an awesome Spaces user. Good luck to your kids, your students in class, and let us know how we can support you and them. We're so excited that they are excited. And if you want to catch Rachelle and Mel, check in on next Friday. We go live at Thrive O'clock, and that's 6:00 p.m. Eastern, just in case you don't know what Thrive O'clock is.
Sometimes we don't know what Thrive O'clock is either.
Yes, sometimes Thrive O'clock changes. But thanks so much for joining us and being an amazing community member. We appreciate you. And we'll see you again soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. All right. Eric, are you ready to join me for a prize drawing?
I'm ready. We got more prizes to give away.
All right, let's do
this.
Chat,
this is your last moment. This is your last chance. If you're in the chat, you haven't commented yet, please do so, and we'll get your name on the wheel before we spin again. This is our third pair of $50 Amazon gift cards that we'll be giving away.
This is our last pair.
Right, before the grand prize.
The grand prize. Natalie is coming up next. Then we're going to have the amazing Dr. I just want to call her Dr. Educator Alexander, but Desiree. And then we're going to have two $100 Amazon gift cards. So, all right, let's do this. If you want to be a part of this, let's see. We got anybody in the comments?
Mary Alice.
Mary Alice, is that you? Mary Alice, is that you that said pick me this time?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't show your name. It just says Facebook user.
Right. Congratulations, Mary Alice, on your $50 Amazon gift card. Yay! Yes.
All right, one more spin. And Melody, you mentioned at the beginning, I can win even if I'm watching this replay. How do I do that?
You can. Let me see. She's like, I like Dr. Educator Alexander. You can win. Jess teaches. Very wonderful. Congratulations.
Congratulations. She showed up. She was like, how do I win? And then we're like, that's it. You just got to comment once. And then she won.
Yes. And if you are watching the replay and you want to have a go at a gift card, I am actually going to grab the link and show it. I'll put it. Let me see. I'm having trouble finding it. Oh, here it is. Right here. I'm going to
drop that in chat.
Yeah, I just deleted it from my document, but now I'm going to copy it. All right, here we go. And I will put this up. So if you would like, I just dropped this. If you would like to be a part of like, let's say that you're watching this on the replay, you weren't able to attend live because you're on the West Coast and you're still teaching, or maybe you have a hot date tonight. Not that I do, but maybe you do. Some people have lives, not me, but you could. You can actually fill out this survey and be entered in a chance to win a gift card. So that is also if you are watching the replay. Okay, are we ready for who's next?
Yes, I'm ready. Are you?
Yes, I'm going to drop off. Can you please introduce our next guest?
Absolutely. I have the pleasure of introducing one of the most electrifying educators in Canadian education today. Natalie, welcome to the Back to School Bash with Spaces.
Wow.
How are you?
Great. I mean, you called me electrifying. I'm here for it. Thank you.
Yes. If you're on Facebook and you're on Twitter, be sure to follow Natalie. Natalie, I feel like I wouldn't call them hot takes, but I would call them very forward-thinking, insightful sort of reflections and opinions on education and assessment. And I think that's the type of content, that's the type of thinking that we need more of out there in the world. And I hope that, if you're a teacher or you're watching this recording, you will go to Twitter and you'll hit the follow button on Natalie's profile.
Well, thank you so much, first and foremost. And hot takes, I think some might call them hot takes, but sure. Well, it's generous of you not to.
Okay. Hot takes can be a good thing.
I think they can too,
Yeah, definitely. And so, Natalie, why don't you introduce yourself, a bit of your background, and then you can feel free to go in and talk a bit about standards-based grading and standard-based education. So, Natalie, I will drop off and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric. So as Eric mentioned, my name is Natalie Vardabasso. I am currently based in Calgary, Alberta, where I've spent most of my career in education, though I was born and raised in beautiful British Columbia. I started as a teacher, mostly in the humanities, high school, middle school, and then moved into instructional coaching and eventually found my way into an assessment leadership position for an entire K-12 school and worked with them over a 3-year period to move towards standards-based grading. As well, I also have a podcast called Edu Crush, which is just like the name implies. It's those people whom I find inspiring, who are creating real change through what I like to say a liberating praxis. So really putting theory into action and taking action. And I'm especially excited to be talking about standards-based grading today because I feel like speaking of hot takes, it's a hot topic right now. There's a lot of schools, districts, and even entire provinces like British Columbia that are making the jump to this grading system. And I think sometimes when we get so much traction for an approach, it can be tempting for people to roll their eyes and say, oh, it's just another fad in education, the pendulum once again swinging too far in one direction. But I really, truly believe that standards-based grading is far from just another flavor of the month, and it actually draws on over a century of research into its benefits. And across all of that research, I think 3 of the most important benefits of this approach here in 2022 is that it's accurate, it's inclusive, and it's empowering, especially when compared to percentage-based grading systems that result in a single letter grade like an A, B, C, D. So before we talk about these benefits a little bit more in depth, I think it's important that we all activate our background knowledge about what exactly is meant when we say standards-based grading. At its most essential, it's just a grading system that is organized around the different standards or learning outcomes, as we say in Canada, in a particular course or subject. So this is different than the grading systems that most of us know from school that are organized around task types. So things like tests, quizzes, projects, etc., with a percentage and a grade attached. And we do this different type of organization so that we can better communicate progress towards the learning goals of the course, which is really what it should all be about, rather than emphasizing the completion of different types of tasks. And just like you saw in the features coming out for Spaces, a really important part of a standards-based grading system is something called a proficiency scale, which is just a clearly defined scale that has different levels of achievement towards achieving each outcome. So no longer would you just say, I'm a C learner, that is how I define myself. Now we actually get the chance with standards-based grading to talk about like the stats of a learner, which is nothing new. We do this in sports all of the time. To use my own tennis career, you could say that I was very sophisticated at ground strokes from the baseline, but was a novice when it came to my volleys at the net. So we get a much more nuanced understanding of where someone's at in their learning and where they need to strengthen their learning. So now that we've set the scene, we have a pretty good understanding of what standards-based grading is. I want to first talk about what makes it more accurate than percentage-based systems. So there's a misconception that is floating around the education space that percentages equal precision. But there is a literal century of research that was sparked by two researchers in particular that tells a very different story. And I want to tell that story right now because I think it's important to understand how we got here, to really understand how this isn't just a new trend or a fad in education. So I want to bring you all the way back to 1913. And there are two researchers by the name of Daniel Starch and Edward Elliott, and they decided to look at the marking practices of a sample of 147 high school English teachers. So they took all of these English teachers and they gave them all the exact same essay and asked them to score it on a scale from 0 to 100, or a percentage scale as we know it. And they had a hypothesis that there might be a little bit of inconsistency, but what they found really surprised them. So that same paper earned 30 different scores that ranged from 64 to 98%. It's basically the difference between basically failing or brilliant. So they published the study, and of course it made it out into the public, and there were some challenges that came up around, well, of course that would happen because it's writing you're talking about. And English, that's so subjective, it's hard to find consistency. So they said, okay, challenge accepted. We're going to replicate this study using math. So they gathered 128 high school math teachers and said, mark this geometry paper, because math is pure, right? There is only one right and one wrong. And they actually found even more variance. So it was a spread from between 28 to 95%, huge spread. So in both cases, they found that, yes, there were different factors that teachers were basing their marking on, but more importantly, they found that the variance was mostly due to the scale itself, that 100-point scale. And so they weren't done. One of the researchers said, okay, well, let's try this one different way. Let's see if this is perhaps just a teacher issue that's happening. And if we go into a different field, would the same problem happen with a scale that has so many different levels? So he gathered carpenters, who he assumed are pretty used to making estimations, and he asked them to estimate the lengths of rods. And he said, use centimeters because it's much more granular. You know, there's more levels. Once again, huge variance in what those carpenters said. So he finally felt confident to conclude that the only way to minimize variance in our grading and in our marking is to adjust the scale. So he determined that a fine scale, like a percentage scale, is so prone to error, and we need to adopt a more coarse scale with fewer designations. So over the next 2 years, he continued studying, you know, how many levels is the accurate amount, the optimal amount of levels, to make sure that we have a lot of consistency, and landed on it should be no less than 4, no more than 9, and 5 seemed to come up again and again as the most consistent set of levels to have to make sure that those grades have consistency. So these studies are so profound at the beginning of the 20th century that very few K-12 schools continue to use the percentage scale for decades. But then the 90s happened, and a little thing called the digital revolution, which brought with it computers being widespread in schools and grading software being implemented, and people rushing to try to capitalize on that space, and a false belief that, you know, having percentages and more levels equals more precision was there. And once again, the 100-point scale came back. So here we are, we're now in the 21st century, a full 100 years from that first study. And a different researcher recently said, okay, let's do it again. Let's up the stakes once more. Let's say that we're going to take 73 high school English teachers, do that same study, but this time let's all train them on how to mark. So they all have the same mindset and how they're going to be marking these essays. Once again, When they all marked the same essay, they found a range of 50 to 96% for that same essay. So why did I want to tell you that whole story? The big takeaway here is this, that we need to reject this misconception that a percentage scale equals more precision and embrace a course scale that increases consistency when the students are marked, but more importantly, from a human standpoint, just restores their faith that the school system is fair. As someone who went through with an English literature degree in university, I can speak firsthand to how frustrating it is when one professor thinks you're brilliant, the other doesn't know why you were even let into university. And at the end of the day, you go, you know what? I don't care anymore because it doesn't matter anyways. It's such a gamble. So I'm not going to put my best foot forward. That was a mic drop word. What did I say? Oh gosh, I don't remember. You're going to have to tell me, Mel. Maybe throw it into the chat. So that is why I truly believe standards-based grading is much more accurate, because if they use the proficiency scale, which has fewer levels, which increases consistency and restores student faith in our school system as being fair and predictable. Let's talk about inclusivity now. So what makes it more inclusive? So when we organize learning around standards, it allows a more diverse body of students to demonstrate their learning in different ways. We're living in the 21st century. We are sitting here on a live stream going through Twitter and Facebook and all these other social mediums. There are so many ways to share our learning. And we have to really reject the notion that learning only happens in a project or a quiz or a test or homework. Some might scoff at an app like TikTok, but perhaps one of my hot takes on Twitter was I would challenge anybody to try to communicate a sophisticated concept in a few minutes, let alone make intentional choices about captions, transitions, music to go along with that explanation. It's a lot harder than you might think, and you could definitely lose a whole day in that rabbit hole. But there's one mode of communicating learning that I think is vastly marginalized in our school system, and there's a historical reason why that standards-based grading creates more space for, and that's oral language. So in their work into white supremacy cultures, Tema Okun describes the worship of the written word as a bit of a symptom that's left over from a history of colonialism, where many indigenous peoples whose land was colonized upheld an oral tradition. And then when settler cultures were created on that land, this belief took hold that somehow oral language must be less than because they were colonizing that land. And I still think this is something that is an unspoken belief that exists in the school system, that if we let students speak as evidence of their learning, it's somehow not quite as valid. And I'm a verbal processor, if you can't tell yet. I love to talk. I talk as a mean to communicate, to learn, to make sense of things. And I think what's really important about a standards-based grade book is it holds space for this to be evidence of learning rather than the traditional written products like tests, quizzes, homework. And a big misconception I want to clear up here before I move on is that standards-based grading does not mean standardization. That's something I hear again and again. Standards or learning outcomes are meant to be task neutral, which means that we can use any type of evidence to show that a student has learned that standard or outcome. And this opens up possibilities for how students might demonstrate their learning, which I think is really important when we are trying to embrace diversity. So that brings me to my final point, empowering. So how is standards-based grading empowering? Well, first of all, what exactly does that word even mean? I think it's one of those things that we say a lot, but we sometimes don't really mind down to what that word is really saying. And I think power, like many things, can either be positive or negative depending on how we use it. So in a 1968 speech, Reverend Martin Luther King said, "Power is defined as the ability to achieve purpose and effect change." This can go either way. Why power often gets a bad rap is that it's often held over others. When one person or a group holds power over, it's disempowering. And in her research into leadership, Brene Brown has been able to further define what that looks like when power is being held over others. She says, therefore, it looks like it must be hoarded, and there's a belief that it's finite, and others must be persuaded to not take it. And those holding power over leverage fear and uncertainty. And uncertainty is a really important word here, because uncertainty leaves us feeling apathetic, which is exactly what power thrives on. And now let's return to grading for a moment. You may be like, whoa, where is she going? And I don't know how she's going to bring it back. I think Renee's research can be applied to teachers because we are very much leaders of the classroom space, and it is no teacher's intention to hold power over their students. But when we use points, scores, percentages, and grades as the primary means of feedback to students, especially in that 100-point scale where there could be a 40 to 50% range of what that score is, we leave them feeling uncertain. They don't know how to take the next steps in their learning if they want to change the outcome. Even worse, there's this ever-present threat of a 0 that could just come in like an atomic bomb and blow up their gradebook, making it nearly impossible to recover. Now, there's a false belief that I've heard, another one, that fear is motivating, that it'll inspire students to dig deep and figure out how to pick up challenging learning. However, if we go back to the research again, the opposite is true. Fear and uncertainty are destabilizing forces that cause apathy, self-preservation, and increased behaviors like cheating and absenteeism in the school system. But luckily, to turn it back to the positive, power can be used for good when it comes to grading. In alternative approaches like standards-based grading, we can unlock empowerment, meaning that students can experience power within, power with, and power to achieve purpose and affect change. Standards-based grading provides transparency, which is an antidote to fear and uncertainty. It's transparency about what it is that students need to learn in a course and what levels of success look like. So this allows teachers to share their power with students by saying, here's where I think you're at with this learning. What about you? Can I invite you into this? Where do you think you're at? It then unlocks a power for students within them to start to gather their own evidence, like tools like Spaces do incredibly, where they can run around a school, like Renee was saying, and take pictures. And it loudly communicates to students, here's the system. There's no games here. There's no secrets. It's all transparent. The power is in your hands to find success. So ultimately, that for me is what I think are the 3 biggest benefits. Standards-based grading is accurate, using a more coarse scale. It's inclusive because students can show their learning in so many different ways than what we've traditionally been used to. And ultimately, it's empowering because it increases transparency and removes uncertainty. So you might be listening and go, yes, I'm all in. I'm fired up. Let's go. But my school isn't doing this. They're not jumping on that train yet. My colleagues aren't doing this. What do I do? How do I get started? How do I know? How can I do something in my classroom right away that doesn't require money, that doesn't require technology? It's something that I can do that'll make my experience in my classroom more inclusive, more accurate, and more empowering. And I want to introduce you to something called minimum grading. This is easy. It's a decision, it's a policy, it's something you can do right away and communicate to your students. And it goes like this. No student can get below 50% or 60% if that's what you decide the cutoff is. And that might be like, whoa, that sounds crazy. You're giving points away for free to students. But all this really does is impact those learners who are most struggling. The majority of students are typically earning above 50% most of the time. But for those struggling learners, we have to ask why. They typically have a learning disability. It takes them longer to learn. They need more practice. It might be a student that has responsibilities at home and can't do independent work. It might be a student who's going through trauma. This goes back to the purpose of inclusion. If we want to give them hope, like Dean was talking about, that this system is something that they will eventually find success in, that minimum grading has shown huge gains for those learners. In fact, this isn't something I'm just making up. There was once a study done with an entire high school over a 7-year period, and the gains they saw in those learners were monumental. So if you want a safe to try experiment for this school year, I dare you, I challenge you to try minimum grading. And as Dean said, I loved this quote, so I had to quickly write it down from his poem. We are so much stronger together than alone. So find that one colleague who wants to try it with you, lean on them, and I have no doubt you'll be surprised by the outcome. So that brings me to the end. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you. I didn't cut you off, did I?
No, not at all. Not at all. You probably could have sooner. I was on a roll there.
No, I loved it. And I just want to say thank you so much for just giving somebody a starting point with minimum grading. And I would have put that in the comments, but I spelled mini-man instead of minimum, and I didn't want to put any more spelling errors on there.
It's okay.
But I love that. I love that you said that standards-based grading is more accurate. It's more inclusive. It's more empowering. It's such a great thing to start. This is the time to start it. an action step is to start maybe utilizing minimum grading. I know Kimberly is is an adverb. Kimberly is she was interested in how to get this to advocate. Kimberly, unfortunately, we're getting closer to the end of our time, but definitely follow Natalie on Twitter. She speaks about this all the time. I did drop some links for her podcast as well, and come to our community. If you look on the ticker down below, it says join our Spaces Educator community at facebook.com/group/Spaces Edu. This is a great place to keep the conversation going. But Natalie, thank you so much for all of your hard work and everything that you share. We appreciate you so much, and we hope that this year is wonderful for you as well.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Always a pleasure to share space with you. Appreciate it.
It is. Totally. It totally is. Well, thank you so much. And we'll talk again with you soon, my friend. Bye.
Bye.
All right. If you are still with us, I'm trying our closing speaker is one of my very good friends. And I'm going to bring her up. Oh, at first I put her name tag up. My friend, Dr. Desiree Alexander. And she is a phenomenal leader. You might have, she gets awards. Every time we're going to go to a conference, it's like, who's the featured speaker? It's Dr. Desiree Alexander. But honestly, we've done a lot of work with Dr. Alexander. She highlights the work of many educators. I'm going to be dropping links on how you can follow her and find her on the internet and keep up with her, because she's always sharing everything that she's learning. And she usually doesn't even charge anything for a lot of those little tidbits. Just offers so many wonderful things for educators. And I'm going to jump off here. You're going to close us out. After Dr. Desiree Alexander is finished, we're going to have our grand finale. If you want to be part of that, that's 2 $100 gift cards to Amazon. Just comment and we'll get you into that drawing. But Dr. Alexander, it's so great to see you. I'm going to drop off and I can't wait to hear what you're going to share.
Thank you, Melody. Hello, everyone. So I am going to do a very, very short, quick, hopefully inspiring message to wrap us up. I've been here the whole time listening to all of these amazing speakers. So let's hop in. So hopefully you can see my screen. I hate to be like, can you see my screen? But hopefully you can see my screen. So we are going to talk about how to break through barriers to achieve your goals. And this is usually like an hour keynote where we do discussions and it's just really, really interactive, but we're going to kind of simmer it down, but still get the content. Okay. So how do we break those barriers? So the first thing I want to do is show a part of this video.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll stop it right there. But think about that situation, right? They absolutely could have gotten themselves out of this situation, but they just sit there. And a lot of us do that, especially when we want to achieve a goal. We'll just say like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then we'll just sit, right? And what I call that is a mental mat. Think about what a mat does, like a yoga mat, right? It keeps us in place. It even puts that little layer between us and reality, right? It gives us a little cushion between us and the floor. Well, a mental mat pretty much does the same thing. Those folks thought they were stuck and they weren't. They could have helped themselves, but instead they were waiting. And that's what I love. And I spoke to Melody about, this whole thing, this whole celebration bash message of growth, right? And I was like, oh yes, I know exactly what message I want to give. So that mental mat keeps us in place and we feel really, really comfortable, right? We're like, okay, great. This is my comfort zone. This is where I'm used to being. Well, what it is it's really a self-created prison, because you're holding yourself back. It's kind of a self-created prison in like Andy Griffith. Like, you remember you could like get the key if you wanted to, but you just kind of leave the key there. That's what we do. And what it starts becoming is an addiction. We're addicted to not helping ourselves. We're addicted to waiting for someone to allow us to grow. And what I want to talk about today is, what are those things keeping you from growing? Is it a person, right? Is it people in your life? Is it a circumstance that you may be in? Or, and this one is what holds us back a lot, good old-fashioned fear, right? Because fear comes in so many different ways that sometimes we don't even realize, oh, well, that's just fear, right? I'm afraid, so I stop. So what I want to talk to you about with our short time together are 3 ways that you can get off that mat. Because a lot of us are just sitting there, even if we don't realize it, we're just sitting there, just waiting, right? And we make all these excuses. Well, if this would happen, then I can get off the mat. But if that would happen, no, you can get off the mat, right? But you have to realize what is keeping you there to begin with. So those 3 ways to get up off that mat is be you, do you, and activate you. So we're going to talk about all 3 of these. How do I be me? How do I do me? How do I activate me? And I know when you hear activate me, it kind of sounds like, the Terminator. I'm probably aging myself. Some of y'all like, what's the Terminator? Just stop it. Just stop it and go watch a movie. Okay, it's called the Terminator. But it kind of sounds like the but that's exactly what I want it to sound, because I want you to be inspired by the end of this. I want you to go, okay, I am ready by the end of this. Okay. Now, in the chat, wherever you are, if you are on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, wherever you are listening to this, I want you to throw some things in the chat as we're going. Okay. And I know we only have a short, but I don't care. I want you to throw some things in the chat as we're going. So I'm going to tell you when to kind of put it in there. So the first thing is to be you. One of the biggest things that stops us from being ourselves is comparing ourselves to others. Y'all not listening. Comparing ourselves to others never ends well. It just doesn't. Because what it does, it either gives you an inflated ego or it makes you feel bad about yourself. That's the only 2 outcomes that can come to comparing yourself to another person. Because either you're like, ooh, hello, right? And that's not a good look. Or you're like, oh, why don't I have that? Oh, it's just, it never works out for any kind of positive outcome. So stop comparing yourself to others. It's the most damaging thing that you can do in this life. And I know we look at stuff like social media. Social media is a lie, right? Let's just be real. I feel like I'm pretty truthful on social media, but you still only see what I want to post, right? Whether it's negative or positive, you only get what I allow you to get. You don't see the story behind it. You don't see the struggle, or maybe even the real struggle behind it. So stop looking at things like that and judging yourself from it. Even when you're at school, I've seen teachers, I was a classroom teacher, a librarian, a district level admin, all these kind of different roles, right? And I remember having that day where I'm like, I will mail you your keys. You can have all these awesome posters on the wall and I'm out. Love y'all. Mail me my check, right? We've all had those days. But what makes them even worse is when I open my door and I see Miss Smith, and Miss Smith is like, come on, everybody. And the kids are like, yes, ma'am. And you're like, that's why I'm quitting right now, because my kids don't respond to me that way. But what you don't know is Miss Smith had that day 2 days ago when she was ready to quit. She took yesterday off, and now she's reinvigorated, right? But we don't talk about that. We just immediately compare ourselves to others. We have to stop doing that. But one thing that you can learn from comparing yourself, or from envy, I should say, right? One thing that you can learn from envy is envy shows you what you're passionate about. I'm going to say that again. Envy shows you what you're passionate about. because I don't have kids. I don't want to have kids. I never did want to have kids. So when I see someone having a kid on Facebook, I'm like, yes, go you, right? I'm excited. But then if I see somebody, they got a presentation, I'm like, I didn't hear about that presentation. What was it open to everybody? Right? That envy starts coming in, and that's what shows you what you're passionate about. So take the envy out of it and go start doing something for yourself. Next, don't let other people's expectations of you guide your path. That is such a negative way to live. But we hear it all the time, right? Oh, my haters just encourage me, right? But what you gonna do when those haters leave? If that's your only motivation, if that's your only encouragement, then what are you gonna do when they go away? I know people right now who are in jobs and careers that they're not even interested in because somebody told them they couldn't do it, or because somebody said you have to do it, right? And they're miserable. Stop letting other people's expectations of you guide what you actually do. Okay, so even if you're like, I'm going to show them, no, show yourself. The only person you need to prove something to is you. Okay? Whew. All right, next, start self-analyzing. Why am I not being myself? Why am I not being myself in certain situations? Why am I not being myself around certain people? Now, I'm not saying change, right? Because sometimes you have a really good reason for not being yourself around certain people. We're going to talk about that in a second. But start self-analyzing, like, what makes me feel a certain way? One of the things I think that stops us from being ourselves is that we want to be black and white. But when I started learning, because I'm very type A, right? And I'm very hard on myself. When I started learning, I am full of contradictions. And I'm going to celebrate that. One day, I'm like, I hate this. The next day, I'm like, I love that. And I'm fine with both of them. Like, why do you care? So I started realizing that I am full of contradictions, and I am fine with that. I'm going to celebrate that because you know what? That makes me human. So stop trying to fit into either other people's boxes or even your own boxes. We set those boxes up for ourselves, right? So start living your life. Start loving your contradictions. Love your crazy. And the one thing that stops us with this too is imposter syndrome. Why do they want to hear from me? Right? Why would I be the one to do that? Because you are the only one of you that we have in this world. And I want you, and we hear that all the time, right? You're the only one of you. But no, you are seriously the only one of you that we have. So I want you to really take that in, because we need you. If we didn't need you, you wouldn't be here. We need you, and you're the only one of you. So yes, even though Desiree may be saying the same thing, somebody needs to hear it from you. Do you? So when we're talking about doing you, the first thing I said I was going to talk about this later, and this is the time, watch the company you keep. Watch the company you keep. Everyone is not for you. One thing that I had to realize, because I'm a very kind of open book kind of person, and one thing that I had to realize is not everyone wants to celebrate my successes with me. That was a hard lesson to learn, because I was just going to be like, oh, hey, this awesome email came through. And then start noticing this stuff. When you go and tell someone something about your success, and it could be anything. It could be, hey, I drove here and I was on time this morning. Woo, woo, right? But when you do that and you walk away not feeling as good as you did when you walked to that person, something's not right. That doesn't mean like break away from that person, get them away from your life. I'm not saying that, but not everybody is there for your success. Not everyone is there for your celebrations. So start watching the company that you keep. And the thing is they don't have to be like outright with it. They don't have to say, I don't want to hear that. But it's those little comments that seep in. It's those little like, that seeps in. It's that little like, oh, I wish I had time to be doing all that. Seeps in. And then you start realizing, why am I not as excited as I was when I started this? So start watching those people that you have and start noticing, what can I do with you and what can I not do with you, because I need to protect my peace. Next, find your own passion. Okay, a passion is, what would you do if I gave you $1 million? What will you continue to do? Start realizing what is important to me. We only have this one life, and the older I get, I really am starting to realize, what am I doing? It's going to end, and I'm not going to be able to be like, oh, here's 50 cents. Can I just, do a little bit more years? No. So find that passion. Start living for that passion a little bit more. And when we talk about doing you, some people confuse that as doing you means not helping others. Incorrect. Okay, doing you can still help others. I know for me, when I help others, it helps me be myself. It helps me find joy. It's not always about you. One of the things I say about education is, if we could just take the ego out of education, the things we could accomplish. I feel like we shouldn't have competitors in education. Everyone should be for education and for the students, but that's not real life, right? That's not real life. And last but not least, activate you. Stop waiting on someone to help you grow. Take control of your own growth and your own learning. Nobody cares about you the way you care about you. Okay? So start taking control of your own growth. I've had people tell me, well, I didn't go to that. I don't know, because no one sent me the PD pamphlet. Excuse me? Have you heard of Google? Like, take control of your own growth. Stop waiting on someone to give you permission to grow. Stop talking about it and start taking action. I want you to throw in the chat. If you're here with me, or if you're watching the recording, you can throw it in the chat. Nobody's going to see it, but go right ahead. What one step are you going to do by the end of the day tomorrow? Stop talking about it and start being about it. Okay? Start small. The thing that you want to do may be super big. Start small. It takes that one email to get it started. It takes that one phone call to get it started. It takes that one taking out a sheet of paper and making a plan to get it started. What is that one action? One that you're going to do to achieve one of those goals that you've been putting on the back burner for so long? It's time. It's time now to take that first step. Last thing before I show a quick video, celebrate every success. And when I say every success, I mean every tiny success. You celebrate it, you dance around, you act like you just finished the whole thing, because that's going to motivate you and that's going to keep you going. Celebrate every single success that you have, small or big, celebrate it.
It's been said that the greatest disease affecting humanity is that feeling of I am not enough. The feeling of I am not enough can only exist by comparing yourself to another and living your life by expectations that aren't your own. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you want to use a great person to measure where you are in life and where you can be, sure, there's not a lot wrong with that. But don't be attached to the result. The only result you should be attached to is the result of you being better than you were yesterday, last week, last month, 1 year ago. Set your own goals based on what you want to achieve, not what the next door neighbor has, or the need to outdo a friend or a family member. Everyone is different and everyone can win. You will never win if you have your eyes on another person. You win your race by focusing on your own finish line. You win in life by being happy for others winning their race. And you giving your heart and soul to win your own race. It's you versus you. The battle is won or lost in your own mind. Comparing yourself to another is an insult to who you are. It's an insult to who you're going to be. You are better than that. You are unique. And that will always be your greatest power. That will always be what separates you from the rest. So be you. Focus on you. Focus on growing you. developing you, mastering your strengths, winning your own race. If others win their race, great. We are all here to win. And the moment you support others, support will come back to you. Don't go out to prove them wrong. Get out there and prove yourself right.
When I was first putting this keynote together, I found this video and I was like, I could just play the video and we could be done. But I was also like, I want to listen to this every single morning because it just gets you riled up. So when you log off today, I want you to think about what are you going to do for that first step, because you have the power right now to be you, do you, and activate you so you can get up, pick up that mat, and walk. Thank you so very much.
That was awesome. I love it. Just what we needed. You delivered. What a great closing. Yes. And let's see. Love this. Me too, Elizabeth. Yes, very powerful. You asked like, what are people? Sybil shared. I think I'll share my passion project with my students via. So, hey, it's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you do for, whether we're working on something together or whether I'm just eating dinner with you or what have you, you always encourage me. You're such a great friend. I appreciate that you're a good partner with Spaces. It's amazing to have you in our lives. And I know that everybody agrees. Oh, look, we got some more. Yes. Do you, or be you, do you, activate you? Yes. I want you to see all of this. We love you. We love you, Dr. Alexander. You're amazing.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me, Melody.
Yes, have a great year. And we appreciate you so much. Bye, Dr. Alexander.
Bye, guys.
All right. So if you're sticking around, that means you are ready for our very last prize drawing. And this last two are pretty big, aren't they, Eric?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you all about it if I could unmute myself, which I just did. Our grand prizes are 2 big $100 gift cards, and we have 8 names here, and these are the people who haven't won so far. So if you have already won, you're not in the run on this one. But if you're in the chat right now and you don't see your name there, comment. We'll give you 10 seconds to get that in there. But what an awesome presentation and awesome. Yeah.
Agreed. Who's the Facebook user? Who is this? Like, we want to make sure your name is in there. Eric, this has been such a wonderful 2 hours. Like, not everything went off like we planned, and educators know that you can make the best lesson plan and it just kind of derails. And I mean, I was just from the very beginning, my sound stopped working. And so, yeah, it's so funny, but I honestly think that this has been such a wonderful last 2 hours. This was excellent. Thank you. Facebook user, who are you though? I want to know, like, it doesn't say your name. And I want to make sure that you are in our drawing. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, Emily, do you have Emily in there?
I do. I have Emily.
All right. I think I met Emily at EST. Emily, I think, is that you? So yes, this is such a wonderful, I want to just, before we do our prize drawing, our very big grand, did we get Melissa in there?
No, that's a new entrant.
All right. All right, Melissa, you got in. And before we do our grand prize drawing, I just want to thank everybody again. I want to thank Dean Gainey, Bryan from our Spaces team, Rachelle, and Marianne, because she's always with us, Marianne. And I want to thank Dr. Desiree Alexander and Natalie Vardabasso. Y'all were so amazing and incredibly inspirational. And you gave us many things that we can do right now to help our school year just be in the path to success that is best for us and our students. I want to thank Spaces for putting this on and being able to give so many gift cards to teachers. Yes. And okay, good. It is Emily. Yes, I see you. And so I just thank you, Eric. Thank you for giving up some of your time to do this as well. It's just been a fun time together. Yeah. YouTube, Sybil, you are in there. You got Sybil. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, Sybil,
yeah.
You are in the drawing, Sybil.
Okay. Should we,
yeah, let's get this wheel up.
All right.
Let's do it.
Oh, Sybil.
Sybil! Yeah! Congratulations!
Ask and you shall receive.
That's right. That's a $100 Amazon gift card, Sybil. So congratulations. We have one more.
All right. And as we mentioned before, you can win if you're watching the replay. There is the Typeform link. Melissa, congratulations.
I'm so sorry. I was going to sneeze. Congratulations, Melissa. You also got the $100 Amazon gift card. Yay. Congratulations to Sybil and Melissa for your grand prize winning. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this today. Yes, you are welcome. And everybody gets to go home. Maybe you didn't end up with a gift card today, but if you get your free teacher account at spacesedu.com, you will have a platform that is going to help transform your grading processes, the way that you form community in your classroom, the way that you talk with parents and other teachers. It's going to be a fabulous, fabulous year for you. Yes, congratulations to all the winners. And Eric just dropped this link. Tell us a little bit about this link, Eric.
Yeah, so if you're watching the replay, or actually if you are just curious about Spaces, you can actually go here. We'd love to hear your feedback about this back to school bash, and you can actually book a time with a Spaces coach to review Spaces one-on-one with you. And if you're in the chat here and you didn't win a gift card, we'll actually automatically we'll enter you automatically to win this last chance prize.
Yes, I love it. It's not a booby prize, guys, because it's like an Amazon gift card, and we know that we love Amazon. And again, you can use it for you. You don't have to use it on your classroom unless you just really want to. Yes, Elizabeth, thank you so much. I hope you have a great school year. For every teacher and educator that's watching, we appreciate you. We know that you're working so hard. Your feedback really matters to us, so please stay connected. Again, and check out our new features. We love you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon. And the new features come out this Monday. All right. Eric, is there anything you wanted to say?
No, just thanks for watching. And again, hope we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.